This morning, Jonathan Mildenhall mentioned that creativity for agencies depends on appropriate compensation. And he mentioned that Airbnb...
Appropriate compensation of agencies.
Of agencies.
I'd agree with that.
I would think so.
How could you disagree with that? Well done, Jonathan. You are very intelligent.
The audience...
You will go far.
The audience loved it. Jonathan mentioned that he was giving his agency 10%, or a percentage, excuse me, of every night's stay from Airbnb. So I was curious, what sort of interesting compensation models is the group exploring right now with some of its large clients?
Well, I think, to be fair, there are two sides to this. There's firstly the fact that we have to be compensated for what we do. Unfortunately, that's based on time, but I think we have to be fairly compensated for what we do, and for the overhead for putting that in place. So that's sort of one side of it, you could say, the fixed side of it. The variable side of it, it can be discounts on Airbnb, it can be all sorts of things. It can be equity, that's one thing. I don't actually favor that, but that's it could be a percentage of sales. It can be all sorts of models, but there have to be two parts of it. There has to be a recognition by the client that to put what we do together entails cost. There are direct costs and indirect costs. Now, we want to run our business effectively. By the way, I don't think that Cannes adds to that aura, right? But let's assume that, put that to one side for a minute. It's interesting, Jonathan made the comment at Cannes. But that's one thing. So running our business very efficiently, very effectively, but getting compensated for it, that's one thing. The other thing is, how do we get compensated for outstanding performance, an outstanding idea? And it's not just about ideas anymore. It's not just about the talent that produces the ideas. It's about technology. It's about data, and it's about content. 75% of what we do around media, digital, data, and content, and it's 75% that Don Draper or whoever wouldn't, or Matthew Weiner wouldn't really recognize. So I think, I'd agree with Jonathan, but it's not just about. The other thing is, clients can't treat us like banks, asking us to fund payment terms, and they can't treat us like insurance companies, asking us to bear unlimited responsibility for indirect liability on intellectual property breaches. The whole thing has got out of kilter. So two things. One is marketing has lost power. The other thing is that vacuum has been replaced, or they've been replaced to some extent, by finance and procurement. In a low growth world with very little pricing power because of no inflation, it's understandable. It's a world we have to operate in, but run our business effectively and efficiently, get paid for doing that, and then if our ideas are really mold breaking and shattering, and Jonathan understands that because he's worked at Coke and now at Airbnb, I think it's an interesting series of opportunities that we have to structure our incentive compensation in interesting ways.